In this video, I'll be breaking down the 7 worst business mistakes that barbers make. So to kick it off with mistake number 1, when I first started cutting hair, I was charging $16 in a barbershop, yet I wanted to get higher paying clients. However, my main issue was that majority of my clients were either in college, worked a regular job, or hell, couldn't even come up with $16 just to pay me for a haircut. And in my mind, I thought, well, if these people can't afford even a $16 haircut, I need to go after high income earners, meaning like athletes, doctors, and lawyers. However, what I found is that even athletes, doctors, and lawyers simply don't want a $16 haircut. So I kind of altogether gave up on just focusing on trying to get those people in my business and instead just focus on growing the business organically. Now, 3 years later, I was charging $150 for a haircut, but I wasn't cutting the athletes, the doctors, or even the lawyers. Instead, I was still cutting the college kids and the people with the regular jobs. Barbers thinking that they need to get athletes, doctors, or lawyers or high income earners in order to charge high prices. Now, the big eye-opener for me was that regular people spend a shit ton of money on expensive things every single day. Think like clothes, jewelry, cars. And to be honest, there is no market that you should be looking for, but instead a problem you should focus on. And what I mean by problem, a problem is somebody's haircut that you can solve with your skill set. Because in business, value is created from people who find solutions for other people's problems. When you're a barber and you start focusing on the problem instead of who the high income earner is, you allow the market to dictate who they want to spend their hard-earned cash with. And to be honest, doctors, lawyers, majority of the time, they don't really give a fuck about how their hair looks. And athletes just want to make you their little bitch, because they have a plethora of their barbers in their DM saying, let me cut you up, bro. You'll have a much wider pool of potential clientele, as well as these people are actually very quality individuals, very quality clients to input into your business. And all you have to do as the barber is focus on solving a specific problem instead of trying to find the right people who have enough money to pay for a service, because that's kind of dumb when you think about it. Here's mistake number 2. Now, I run a company called The New Era Barbering that helps barbers scale their monthly income up to $20K per month and charging upwards of $100, $200 a haircut. And about 2 years ago, I had one barber who was interested in working with me inside the program. Now, when we first hopped on a call for him to join, he initially thought all he had to do was get over his fear of raising prices and just raise the damn thing up, and people would respect it, and he would somehow have a $20K per month business. So, of course, he just ended up not joining because he's like, well, I can just do this shit on my own. So he was charging $40 and he went to $65. And he went from having a somewhat mediocre clientele to then only cutting 5 clients a week. To put it in short, he broke his business. And after suffering the consequences for a while, he eventually came back and joined because he just didn't know what the fuck to do with his business next. Now, because he broke the business at 65 meant that we had to drop him back down in pricing, but not to 40, because he never had a true business structure built out even at the $40 price point. So we took him from charging $65 to all the way down back to $30. Because he just kind of had this dumb idea of raising prices in like this Russian roulette style. And this is what I see a lot of barbers doing, raising prices similar to playing Russian roulette, where it's like you can load one bullet in the chamber, you can pull the trigger, which acts as the price raise. A bullet might not go into your head one time, you might get lucky, but eventually you keep on playing with that trigger, you will get got. Your business will tank, your clientele will drop, your new client flow will shrivel up, and your overall income will tank to where you're only servicing 5 clients a week. And this is what happens by just getting over the fear, because I want to make it very clear. Raising prices is not just getting over fear and knowing your worth. That's probably the most irrational thing that any barber can do. Now, today, that same barber is actually an account manager, and he's about to go up to $80 finally in his business because he knows how to properly scale, get new clients, and doesn't play this dumb game of Russian roulette, which is mistake number 2. Barbers playing Russian roulette with their price raises. Like I said before, can you get lucky maybe once or twice by pulling that trigger or raising your prices? Sure. But eventually you will get got and your business will implode. Now, what happens typically when barbers raise their prices up is that new client flow shrinks down and shrivels up. Now, that gap that's created right here is actually a time frame that it's going to take you to fill the business back up to get it back to a manageable level or a livable level of your past income, let's say. And when you raise prices like this, I mean, there really is no strategy behind it. Literally anybody could do this, and this is why a lot of barbers fail, and a lot of barbers have fear behind raising prices. Now, this is why you'll see a lot of barbers who raise prices up, stay at those price points for a long period of time because they just can't scale any farther. They literally like broke their business. What we typically see in our clients is the higher that we go up, the more clients and more new client flow we can actually get, typically anywhere between like 20, 30, or 40 new clients every single month. Take, for instance, one of our clients, Joel J. Faded. When he first started working with us, he was charging $60 a cut, getting about 9 or 10 new clients every single month, which isn't bad. But in 8 months, we took him all the way up to $200 a cut, getting about 30 or 40 new clients every single month and topping his income out at about $29K. And I'm telling you, that's when you have an actual business, not something where you raise the price up every 6 to 12 months, about $5 or $10, because to be quite honest, nothing in the business is going to change. And really, it's not life-changing money whatsoever. And what's crazy is we've been able to do this with barbers in the US, Canada, as well as Australia. Now we've been branching out to places like Dubai, the UK, Germany. So if you're a barber who's actually interested in working with us and growing to that scale, you can apply through the links down below. Now let's get into mistake number 3. Now recently I was on a call with a barber who wanted to join the program and work with us, who had been cutting for about 15 plus years. The only problem is he was still charging $25 a haircut. And of course, at that rate, like, you're going to be tired as fuck cutting for 15 plus hours a day, 5 or 6 days out of the week. And I just asked him honestly, like, if you're just tired of working, like, why don't you just work less? Instead of working 5 or 6 days, work 3 or 4 days. And his response kind of shocked me. He told me he just wasn't in the financial position after 15 years of being a barber to take those days off every single week. And even when we went through his finances, because I was like, okay, cool, this doesn't really make too much sense, because how can you be cutting for 15 plus years and not be financially set? But he only had about like less than 5K to his name after 15 years of cutting. And it sucks to say, but this is the reality for a majority of barbers. A lot of barbers will work years on years just making ends meet, but really making no progress in their overall bank account. Sure, can they get by with living expenses? Yes. But they have no room to retire or put anything away to where they can work less eventually. To put it simply, they still have to cut hair every single day because they never learned how to grow and scale the business. And that's mistake number 3, simply not taking care of your finances. I think every young barber, hell, any barber at any stage, need to start taking this thing more seriously. Start taking care of the money that you're making every single day so that eventually you could leave the industry and move on to your next business venture. There's really 4 things to this. Number 1, really get a clear idea of how much you're actually profiting every single month. You want to gamify to improve this so you can make as much profit every single month. Second, you want to start auditing your expenses monthly, or hell, even daily if you can. This can be simply done by tracking all of your expenses in a Google tracking sheet. Third, you want to start living below your means. Yes, you're making money every day, but that doesn't mean you have to be spending money every single day. And last, you want to start building a war chest, or what I like to think of as a savings. Because you shouldn't be working this fucking hard to have less than 5K in the bank account as a barber. Here we go with mistake number 4. Now, when I first started cutting hair, I worked with a barber who took a very traditional route on how he ran his business. And both of us were pretty young, and we both wanted to make more money cutting hair because we had been stuck in business. We'd been making the same amount, for a couple months, and we wanted to see some growth. For me, I focused on scaling my prices, marketing myself, and growing my business that way. But to be honest, he really didn't agree with that whatsoever. He thought that by doing what every other barber in our city was doing in their business, meaning like selling hair products, going about $5 or $10 every 6 to 12 months on his prices, doing 30-minute haircuts, or just trying to cut hair faster, was the route to go in, since it was, I guess, proven. Fast forward today, for myself, I'm retired from cutting hair, was able to charge $150 for a haircut, and now I run a company that shows barbers how to scale their income properly while he's still cutting in the same city, maybe charging about $15 more than what we were when we first started working together. And this leads me to mistake number 4, which is the standard is set very low for our industry as barbers. Every single one of you has so much more potential in today's game. You first always have to figure out what your goal is. Number 1, make this something as like a high income goal, nothing less than 12K, to be quite honest with you. Second, figure out when the end date of when you'll be cutting hair, meaning like, when are you actually going to retire? I fully believe you make this like an actual date and time, it's so much more powerful to hold you accountable to, because it's actually real. Last, you need to start switching up your mentality and start seeing barbering as the vehicle for you to your next business, not as barbering as the final destination. Here we go with mistake number 5 now. So I had a barber that booked a call with me because his business wasn't growing. He was getting like less than 4 new clients every single month, and overall his clientele was pretty inconsistent. So naturally I just asked, like, well, what were you doing for the last 2 years in trying to grow the business? His response was that he just was doing, the typical barber thing, going to hair cutting classes to learn how to do different services and like how to cut hair better. I had to really break it down because like this does not equate to business growth whatsoever. And when I told him this, he was actually very doubtful, because literally every single barber he'd ever come in contact with prior told him all you need to do is focus on improving your skill set and you'll be able to charge whatever the hell you want to charge. Hear me out. Give me 3 months. Implement literally everything that we have, and if it doesn't work, by all means, go go back to focusing on improving your haircut, but at least give me those 3 months where this is your sole focus and kind of cut that shit out. So he joined. In about 3 months, he was getting about 28 new clients in a month, all without focusing a single day on how to improve his haircutting skills, which is mistake number 5. Thinking that your skill set needs to get better in order to start charging more or get new clients currently. Now, will your skill set always need to be improved? Absolutely. First, your clientele is always going to change the higher that you scale your pricing up. To be honest, most barbers should only focus on the foundational skill sets, like, make sure your lines are sharp, make sure your fades are gradient, make sure the beard is even on both sides, like simple shit, because the fundamentals can take you pretty far. Second, you could charge more for a haircut with your current skill set if you know how to market and generate new clients into the business. Because the main reason why your business isn't growing is because your inability to generate new clients, not your skill set. Yes, new clients do care about your skills, but you can generate more new clients currently without having to do a damn thing to improve your skill set. To be honest, I only had 2 points, not 3, so we're going to move on to mistake number 6. And trust me, for all these mistakes, I can't take my own knowledge, so I'm going to utilize like a lot of barbers I've either worked with or had conversations with. So there's a barber who wanted to grow their business who had just moved from Omaha, Nebraska to Los Angeles. And he thought, since he finally made the move from like this, I guess, smaller town to now this big city of opportunity, that business growth would automatically happen and he didn't need to work with me inside the Elevated Mentorship program. So he left the initial meeting without joining the program. But a year later, he hits me up again because he's literally stuck in the same position. No business growth and no idea on exactly what to do. The only difference is now he moved back to Omaha, Nebraska from LA because shit never worked out in LA like he thought it would. Since then, we've been able to take him from charging $30 in Omaha, Nebraska to now upwards of $75 just for a haircut. And he was kind of shocked because he thought that growth was going to happen in LA, which it didn't. And that growth was always waiting there for him in Omaha, Nebraska this whole time. Which leads me to mistake number 6, which is thinking your environment or location matters. Now, this typically leaves a barber to not improving their business and always looking for an excuse of like, oh, I just have to move to a bigger city. And that's all of a sudden how my business is going to grow. Yet they forget about focusing and fixing the core issues, because the way you run your business is a bigger factor than location or your environment. In fact, even if you move to a different location and environment, the way you run your business never changes. So you're always going to have the same issue. Now, this comes down to 3 things. And yes, I actually do have 3 points this time. First, you want to change the way how you generate new clients into your business. Old, outdated methods like passing out business cards and banking on referrals really just don't fly in today's day and age. And yes, I will be breaking down what you should be doing in mistake number 7. So just hang on. Second, you got to change the way you raise your prices. Going up $5 or $10 every 6 to 12 months really isn't going to change your life or change your business whatsoever. And most reasons why barbers can't do more than that is, again, too, their inability to generate new clients at a higher price point. Now, I would not recommend doing this whatsoever, but just to kind of give you some, I guess, perspective on things, what we do with our clients is typically anywhere between a $20 to $50 price raise, hell, maybe even sometimes a $75 price raise. Because again, too, we have all the data and analytics to understand that the business can take it at pricing and we can still generate new clients at that price point. Last point on this is you need to be able to cut your service list down to really just like 2 services. A lot of you will make more income by cutting out all the low tier price services and just going with the top 2, which could just be simply like a haircut and beard, which is typically what we do for all of our barbers in the program, because a lot of these other smaller services like lineups and stuff really just take money out of your pocket. Last but not least, mistake number 7. Now, we have a barber in the program named Fabio who was stuck at the $50 price point with the fear of going up on his prices because he feared losing his clients. Now, he was hyper aware of his situation because he understood the fact that he focused solely on client retention and neglected generating new clients into his business, that he could easily be fucked if he goes up too high on his price point and have all of his clients leave him, because there was no way to fill the business back up again with new clients. So naturally, when we started working together, we focused on marketing and client conversion, and he went from charging $50 to $100 in only 5 months. And even last month, he had 3 $1,000 days, meaning he made $1,000 off of doing 10 haircuts or less cutting hair. And this leads us to our final mistake, which is focusing on getting booked out and keeping clients instead of being new client acquisition focused, because the growth of any business will be dependent on its ability to generate new clients. So finally, this is what you must do in order to generate some new clients in your business. You want to post anywhere between 3 or 5 times a day on Instagram with your work. One post, just make it a simple showcase reel. Make sure that showcase is highlighting your best work with the best angles, really good lighting. It's not like some like doo-doo ass haircut. Now, the rest of 3 to 4 posts can be on your story. Again, all are going to be showcases of your work. But with this, you want to be tagging every single client in that story post. Ideally, you want to shoot for like anywhere between 3 or 4 different styles as well to throw up there. And the idea is because like if you tag your clients, they will potentially repost that to their market as well too, or their Instagram story, tapping into their market for potential new clients as well. Last, just repost all the these things onto TikTok every single day, and you should start seeing some new client flow just from that alone. Now, will this get you to $100 haircuts or $200 haircuts or 20K months? Sorry to say this, no. Getting that level requires a lot different inputs and work into the business, but it will generate you some new clients at your current price point right now. So might as well.